It was certainly no ordinary day for the science team in the desert. Chief Scientist Oliver noticed something stunning during a drone inspection. It was a ship in the middle of the desert. Oliver and his entire team went to the ship, and once they arrived, they immediately went inside to inspect it. But little did they know that what they would find inside that ship would haunt everyone's lives. Oliver got into the ship and immediately got chills from how it looked. He hadn't seen anything like this before. It was already weird that a ship could end up in this desert, but he could have never foreseen what he was about to discover. While walking through the corridors, he noticed that every door was barricaded, which was quite strange. Why would all these doors be blocked? Oliver couldn't understand the reason. Maybe something dangerous was behind those doors. Oliver focused on one door in particular. It was a large door barricaded with heavy steel pipes and had a large sign with a skull on it that stated, "Do not enter this room. It holds much danger." Oliver hadn't seen anything like this before, but as a researcher, he was curious about what could be hidden there. He felt chills down his back and was a little afraid of what might be behind that door. But once again, he had a duty as a researcher to find out. Perhaps he would make the discovery of his lifetime. When Oliver met with his team, they also reported strange things happening on the ship. Everywhere they went, there was just this creepy vibe. Some scientists even claimed to have heard sounds coming from certain rooms. Everyone laughed because there couldn't be something living on this ship, right? Oliver agreed with his colleagues that it was indeed a spooky ship. He had never seen anything like this before. And how did it even get in the desert? Oliver had so many questions he wanted to answer. "First, guys, I need to tell you something. It's something big," Oliver said. "I'm going to show you the room I just saw. There was this door barricaded, and I saw a skull on it. But it got even weirder because there was also a faint sound coming from it. We need to know what it is. Let's go." As they walked through the ship's corridors, everyone was silent. The ship really had a creepy vibe. It was so quiet, and yet it wasn't. Oliver had the impression that this ship was hiding something otherworldly, and he was determined to discover what it was. There was a loud noise coming from that room, and everyone could hear it clearly. As Oliver looked at his team, he could see the horror in each of his colleagues' eyes. Everyone moved away from the door out of fear, but Oliver didn't. He thought maybe there was a person inside that room. It would be very strange, because it seemed like this ship had been here for decades. However, he needed to give it a shot. "Is someone inside there?" Oliver shouted. He did this several times, but there was no response. Oliver repeated himself, but still no answer. He felt a little uneasy. It really seemed that something big was hiding inside. It didn't sound like a person, but it was something otherworldly. The loud noise coming from the room made that clear. Just as Oliver was about to repeat himself for the last time, he heard another loud noise coming from the room. He couldn't resist and had to know what was in there. So he decided to force the door open. Oliver tried to kick the door open with all the strength he had. Bang, bang, bang. Then another researcher took over kicking. Unfortunately, even with all their hard work, they couldn't get the door open by kicking it. They had to use a tool to open that massive door. Oliver and his team went searching for a tool that could help them force the door open. There must be something on the ship that could help. Oliver rushed to every room and searched for something he could use. After searching for 30 minutes, he finally found it, a crowbar lying in the corner of a room. He knew this crowbar could help him open that door. Oliver grabbed the crowbar and called out to his team to stop searching and return to the door. Oliver rushed back to the door out of sheer excitement. With all his might, he pressed the crowbar against the door, but it just wouldn't work. Then suddenly, they heard the loud sound again. What the heck is behind that door? Oliver wondered. He was determined to find out. "We need to get some tools from the base camp and then return. I can sense something significant is hidden in that room." To avoid getting lost the next time they returned, Oliver and his team marked several of the corridors as they made their way back to the helicopter. The next time, they could head straight for the door and discover what was in that room. As they flew back to base camp, Oliver could think of nothing but that room. That door intrigued him so much, and he felt there was something otherworldly in it. It would be the discovery of his life and would make him famous. During the flight, Oliver and his crew debated what might be in that room. Several people speculated that it might be a human, but it made no sense because there was no response to their questions. Others thought it could be a creature that had never been seen before. As they arrived at their base camp, everyone quickly ran out of the helicopter and went to the workstation to grab all the electric saws and claw tools that could be useful to open the thick door of that mysterious room. They found everything and quickly returned to the helicopter. Once they arrived, the helicopter's pilot looked surprised. "I'm not flying at this time. It's too late and too dangerous," he said. Oliver would not accept this. He was convinced that he had found the discovery of a lifetime. He tried to convince the pilot with all his effort, but unfortunately, the pilot didn't yield. It was just too dangerous to fly around at this time in the middle of the desert. The pilot simply didn't want to risk his own life for it. Oliver understood the pilot's decision and agreed that they would return tomorrow morning at 6 a.m., but no later. As Oliver lay in bed, he just couldn't fall asleep. That door was burned into his memory, and he couldn't think of anything else. Maybe something had already been written about the ship on the internet. Oliver quickly grabbed his laptop and started searching. He opened his laptop and began looking for a deserted ship that had gone missing. Time flew by as he spent nearly an hour searching. Then, all of a sudden, he discovered something on the internet. Someone had written something about the shipwreck. A famous researcher he knew named Lucas mentioned something about a ship in the desert, and it was the exact same location as where Oliver was now. Unfortunately, the content was censored, so there wasn't much written about it. However, Oliver had his connections in the research world. He called a good colleague of his, with whom he had made many discoveries. He knew that this friend had even more connections than Oliver, so he might have Lucas's number. Oliver gave him a call and explained the situation. It turned out that his friend had the phone number of scientist Lucas. Oliver glowed with energy. He could call the one man who had also been on that ghost ship. Oliver keyed in the numbers on his phone, and yes, the phone rang. It took a few seconds before Oliver heard a voice. "Hello, who is this?" Oliver explained to Lucas why he was calling, detailing his discovery of the ship and the strange noises from a hidden room. Lucas, sounding paranoid, warned Oliver not to return, insisting it would ruin his life. Oliver, puzzled by this reaction, asked why, but Lucas refused to elaborate. Despite Lucas's warning, Oliver couldn't resist. As a scientist, he saw this as a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. He decided to return the next morning. At breakfast, Oliver's colleagues asked if he had found more information. He chose to keep Lucas's call a secret, simply stating that details about the ship had been censored online. Satisfied, the team prepared for the expedition. As they boarded the helicopter, Oliver wrestled with his decision. Was he putting them in danger? After nearly an hour of flight, they reached the ship. Now equipped with better tools to force the door open, they navigated the corridors. Everyone noticed something was different. Doors, once barricaded, were now open. A chill ran through Oliver. Someone had been here, but who? Despite the unease, they pressed on. Oliver had marked the path to the locked room, and upon arrival they saw it was still barricaded. The team immediately set to work drilling. A loud noise erupted from inside, startling them, but they continued. The sound repeated, as if something inside was resisting their entry. Undeterred, they pushed forward until, at last, the door gave way. Oliver stepped in cautiously, sweeping his flashlight across the space. Suddenly, something large bolted past him. Without hesitation, he chased it. Beyond the door was not just a room, but an entire network of corridors. Oliver caught a glimpse of the fleeing figure. It looked human. He shouted, "Stop!" But the person kept running. Mustering his strength, Oliver sprinted and tackled them to the ground. The figure fought back violently, reeking of decay. Finally, Oliver gained control and turned them over. His breath caught. It was the very scientist who had written about the ship online. Confused, Oliver realized that the post had been from years ago. Had this man been here all along? The scientist, Lucas, confessed he had chosen to stay, unable to leave the ghost ship. Oliver urged him to return, but Lucas refused. He begged Oliver not to expose his secret. Respecting his wishes, Oliver agreed. Oliver and his team left the ship, and they were all disappointed that this discovery was not the discovery of their lifetime.